So this week on Instagram, I asked you for your biggest questions, the ultimate questions that needed answering. And boy, you did not let me down. We had questions from everything about return of investment, how to build audiences, how to get your music out there, how to build in new cities. Whew, it was a biggie. And I have picked my ultimate 10 questions. Maybe there's a couple of bonuses because I couldn't quite pick, but there are at least 10 questions. So come with me on a journey. Kicking it off with Owing Borg Music, who says, how to get people to listen to my music? A great question to start with. And firstly, we have to remember that a big part of this is practice, because we can't be entitled and just expect people to want to listen to our music. What we've got to do is we have to make something that brings value to the other side. Let's not forget that it is very, very easy now to get attention. The hard part is to get people to stay, to keep that connection, to make sure that that attention stays over a period of time. That becomes much, much harder. So therefore, we have to practice. We have to practice songwriting. We have to practice releasing and not just expect that we're going to put one single out and take over the world. If that happens, brilliant. But the reality is it probably won't. The reality is we have to start building the audience one song at a time, one conversation at a time, one piece of content a day in order to understand not just you, the artist, you, the songwriter, but also the audience and what the audience wants from you. There are loads of technicalities around growth hacking or getting attention or Facebook ads, but when it comes to taste and style and understanding your audience and what they want from you, that's not so simple. So whilst we can work on the technicalities, the reality is genius is in the attention to detail, and this is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. Number 2, how do we make a living from this thing called music? Emerger is smashing it right now. So proud of you guys. But when it comes to make a living from this, we have to decide which is the best return of investment rather than just expecting all of these avenues. For example, sync deals is different to streaming, which is different to memberships or Patreon or merch. And if we're going to go down one of these avenues, we have to be prepared to do the thing well. For example, if you analyze the top 10 most streamed artists on Spotify, none of them have got 5 songs. They've all got, apart from Post Malone, who's got about 68 songs, they've all got well over 100 songs. Drake's got 250 songs. Ed Sheeran's got 180 songs. If we want to make a living from streaming, then we have to play the streaming game. If we want to make a living from merch, we have to play the merch game, which means we can't just go, I made some hats, chuck them out. We've got to say, no, this is a brand. This is a merch line. This is something that we are building a business around. So it's up to you to decide what it is. But what we can't do is say, I made the music, give me the money. Show me the money! We've got to say, I'm going to build something around the music. Number 3 from Anthony Rogel, how do I secure a major label deal? Oh, that's a big question. Now, the first thing I'd say is we have to stop facing the record labels in order to try and get a major label deal. I know that feels counterintuitive, but bear with me, come with me on this. If you face the music industry, you will make decisions based on attention from the music industry, which means you will be turning your back upon the audience. And the thing to know is, labels don't care about you. They don't care. What they actually care about is, if they sign you, what are you going to do financially? If they put money in, how much are they going to get out? Which means all they actually care about is the audience. Is the audience buying into this? So you have to create proof. So if you just say, I don't need the labels, I'm going to face the music industry and I can do this all myself, and then you build that audience and then you monetize that audience and you say to the labels, I don't care, go away, leave me alone. At that point, what happens? They come sniffing around and they go, can we play? That is why you face the audience, because if you build the audience, at that point you can monetize it, the labels will be there. And at that point, you have leverage. You just say, maybe, what are you going to do for me? If you're going to come on board and build this, I can prove I can do this myself. Whereas if you face the industry saying, I don't know how to do this, help me, the labels get really turned off and they go, no, God! So your job is to face the audience and build a genuine, engaged audience. Number 4 from Hollywood NX5. How do I expand out of my city? A question that probably comes up at least 3 or 4 times a day via my YouTube or Instagram. And for me, this is about how you firstly conquer your city or conquer your town or wherever you live. And most people have done a quarter of a job, maybe half a job. I'm talking conquer your city, because as soon as you've really genuinely conquered your city, what happens is they push you out. You don't have to try and leave. All of a sudden, the ripples start to push out. So when it comes to conquering your city, there's plenty of ways. In fact, going to the next city and conquering that. Getting the attention, nice and simple. Facebook ads, touring, conversation. If you are not in the room, it's very difficult to build that audience, which means if you are not in the city, it's very difficult to conquer it. And I'm talking all of the time from artists who are saying, yeah, I've done adverts in America and UK and Japan and Australia. And I'm like, this is billions of people that we're talking about. There's nothing wrong with starting with niche audiences in certain pockets. And there's very, very much nothing wrong with building in your city first, conquering it properly, and then moving out. Question number 5 from the band Amarath, who asked, how do I stay creative and build sound content with my social media? So for me, there's no hacks. I'd love to say there's hacks. This is all about the calendar. And so what normally happens is people say, oh God, Damian's telling me to post every single day. I've got to post something every single day. And then it gets to 5 o'clock and you go, oh God, I haven't posted. What am I going to post? Either you don't post anything at all and you go, I'll do it tomorrow. Or you pick up your phone, you'll do a selfie and go, that'll do. But think about that. You want to build an engaged audience who love you. And if you just go, that'll do. Why would they love that? Why would anybody love what you do if you just go, I didn't really care. I just knew I had to post something, so I posted it. So therefore, it's not about the deadline. It's about setting your parameters about what the time that you're building. So for example, if you said Tuesdays, 3 till 5 p.m., I create social media. Not 5 p.m., what do I post? 3 o'clock, I sit down, I say, right, what am I going to make? And that's the question. Not what am I going to post? What am I going to make for my audience that's going to bring them value? I've got 2 hours. What can I make today? At that point, you're starting to think about value to the other side. You've allocated yourself time in order to make something amazing that you're proud of. Is it a song? Is it a performance? Is it a behind the scenes? Is it just an amazing picture that you're going to go out and you've dressed up, you've got a photographer or a friend of yours with a really good camera, and it isn't just the, this'll do moment. That is how you stay consistent. You go back to the calendar and you allocate times to do stuff every single week. Question number 6 from Selkie Sarah, who asks, how do we know if we're ready? I think this is a question that does crop up all of the time. And my answer is usually ready for what? Like that, I think all of a sudden, as soon as we say ready, now we have to say, am I ready for starting the journey? Am I ready to be a superstar? Am I ready to go on tour? Like, what's the bit that's ready? Because for me, the bit that you have to be ready for is working hard and improving. If you're prepared to go every single day, go hard at it every single day. I'm going to write songs. I'm going to put stuff out. I'm going to engage with an audience. I'm going to learn and I'm going to just work on those 1% every single day. Well, everyone's ready for that. If you're saying, am I ready for superstardom? Probably not. No, I mean, I don't think I'm ready for superstardom. So therefore, ready for what? The biggest part of this for me isn't being ready. It's enjoying it. It's loving it. It's having this passion to say, I really want to make this. I really want to write this. I really want to make this piece of content. I really want to talk to my audience. I really want to do something special for them. Because at this point, I'm loving it. And if I've got that passion and I'm enjoying it, then there's no being ready. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing. So for me, when you say, are you ready? The answer is obviously, of course you're ready. But ready for what? Question number 7. What is the biggest mistake I can do to ruin my music career? What an amazing question from Tommy Swan. And for me, this is all about how you put pressure on yourself by thinking there's a destination. Thinking that, Drake's the biggest artist in the world, so therefore I guess that's my goal. Like, all of a sudden, if you're putting too much pressure on the destination and not enjoying the journey, and more importantly, just having too much pressure and anxiety on, am I getting there? Am I good enough? Is this going to work? Is this successful enough? All that happens is you miss everything. You say, okay, we're doing gigs and there's 100 people turning up. Well, that's not good enough. It has to be 200. So you work really hard. You get to 200. What happens? You think, oh, it needs to be 500. What happens then? It needs to be 1,000. What happens then? It needs to be arenas. What happens then? It needs to be stadiums. There is no end. And that destination, what it means is you start making mistakes. It means you start putting pressure on yourself, and therefore you start doing silly things because you've lost the patience, which means you do things like, I'll buy more likes because I have that pressure. I'll buy some streams. I'll buy onto those playlists. Quick, faster. I've got to get to a destination, and the destination just simply isn't there. So for me, the answer is patience. The answer is I'm building something that I'm proud of over a long period of time. And if I do that and I'm proud of it and I can see the growth, then that isn't failure. And if I put these what does good look like pillars in place and they are unrealistic, at that point, anxiety will crop in. At that point, you will feel like a failure. And at that point, you probably will drop out. So for me, that is the ultimate no-no. Question number 8 from Ollie Chapman. How do I get a manager? You would not believe how many times I get asked this question every single day. Or, will you be my manager? Which the answer is, I'm not a manager. Why would you want me to be a manager? But let's take that as an example. Let's say you want me to be your manager. Okay, well, where's the leverage? Where is the leverage for me to manage you? Not for you, I can see that. Where's the leverage for me? And I don't want to be big-headed and arrogant, but if you want me to be your manager, okay, what do I get? And you say, you get 20%. 20% of what? And if you say, oh, you have to look into the future and see my vision and then bring it to life. I'm like, well, I'm doing that then. All of a sudden, I'm doing all of the work for me to get 20%. It doesn't make sense. So therefore, you have to have leverage. If you want to get a manager, the manager has to look at this and go, this makes sense. This is already working. This is self-managed. And so if I can take this on and expand it and grow it, then at that point, 20% makes it worthwhile. And that every so often does crop up. Every so often I'll see someone, I'll go, I'll tell you what, I reckon I could do that job, you know? I reckon I could go and make an extra 50, 100 grand a year from managing that artist because I know exactly where to go. But guaranteed, most of those artists isn't me going, I guess I'll do you a favor. Those artists are me just going, I'll do it. I'll give it a go. They've got leverage. They've got power because they're doing something. They're playing decent sized crowds. They've got a very big audience. They're doing something where money probably is already starting to come in. And now it's a case of saying, I think I can bring something to the party and expand it. So the answer to this is if you want to get a manager, you have to be able to self-manage in order to have leverage enough for a manager to say, 20% sounds good to me. I think 20% of this is going to work out. That's how you get a manager. Question number 9 from Aidan Jonathan William Bishop, which I think is probably the greatest name on earth, who asks, where do I start? Now that is such a powerful question because it is so overwhelming. You've got so much to do. It's like, I've got to make the music. I've got to do the marketing. I've got to do the videos. I've got to do PR. I've got to get everything on Spotify and Deezer and Apple, and I've got to go on tours and I've got to promote this. And it's crazy. Where do I start? Well, I think we should look at the number 1 artist in the world on Spotify right now, which is The Weeknd. The Weeknd started by posting some music that he loved on YouTube. Simple as that. Let's start nice and simple. Let's not start off by setting ourselves up to fail. Let's start off by building something that we love, writing something that we love. We start with the music. That's obviously going to be, when people say to me, it should always be about the music. It is. It's always about the music. Of course it is. That's the most important thing. But what happens next? So the first thing is we get the music, something that we're proud of, something that's powerful to us that we feel like that we can put out there and we can grow from. At that point, then it's just about finding one platform, somewhere where you can just put it out there and start to grow. This idea that you need to be on 15 different platforms is ridiculous. You haven't got the time, and it's a different time. So therefore, go and build on YouTube, go and build on Instagram, go and build on TikTok, go and build somewhere. But the idea of going, oh, I haven't got time to be on 15 different platforms. Well, don't do that. Just be on one platform and do it really well, and go and find people and say, I made this. and build that audience of people who go, that's really, really good. I'm waiting for the next one. And they'll hit that follow button. They'll hit that subscribe button. And over a period of time, you get better and you put out more music. That is where you start. You start with basics, fundamentals, and actually good music that you put out in order to get one person to say, that's really good, that is. Because if you've got one person that says it, you can get 2. And if you've got 2, you can get 4. And 4 becomes 10. And 10 becomes 100. That's how you do it. And number 10, which is a great follow-on question from Paulie PS. What do you do when you feel stuck? So everyone's going to be different. And some people will say power through. But what I would say is take a break. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you're not enjoying music and this release, it becomes really old really fast. And the last thing you want to do is give up. So take a break. Be selfish. Go and find some inspiration. Go and do something that you feel is more about you. Go and write a piece of music that's ridiculous. Go and be super creative and just go, I'm doing this for me. Because at that point, you're probably more likely to get your mojo back. Go and find inspiration. There's a great story online where Rick Rubin is producing System of a Down Chop Suey. Wake up! And Serge Tankian is basically not sure what he's going to do lyrics-wise. And Rick Rubin says, he's recording his house. He says, go to my library, pick up some books and just get some inspiration. Serge Tankian goes, he looks at all these books. He picks up a book, sticks his finger in, and there's a lyric there, which I think was, Father, why have you forsaken me? And that was the start of the whole song. And everyone's like, Rick Rubin's a genius. Yeah, he is a genius. But the genius is in recognizing that an artist needs to be inspired. They need to have creative thoughts. They need to have that creative juice. That's why he's a genius. He's just found a way to actually make an artist feel like they're inspired, to do something that excites them to get their mojo back. And that is genius. So for me, if you feel stuck, take a break. Do something for you. Be excited again. Get the mojo back. And then go again. Okay, so that's 10, but there was a couple of questions that I just kind of need to throw in. They were too good. So Harry Tonks, who asks, am I too old to start my music career? Again, another question that crops up for me pretty much every single day, especially as Harry says he's 27, which is not old at all. But I get this from 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds. And nowadays, if this was 1995, I'd have gone, yeah, you're too old. But this is not. This is 2021. This is a time where there's no gatekeepers. And even if there are gatekeepers, we just go, no, fuck the gatekeepers. I'll do this myself. So being too old is the same thing as being too short or, being too British. It's very, very different than what it used to be. Now we're in control. We can build something and we can go and find that niche. And that's what we need to do. We need to build a niche. And those people are in our niche might be all over the world, just little places dotted all over them. We've just got to find them. And there's so many examples all the time of niche artists, whether that's a niche age or whether that's a niche genre. There's so many examples of niches out there where they say, hey, this is me, which means I've got to go and find the right audience. So that's the key. Are you too old? No, of course not. But do you have to go and find the exact niche? Yes. There lies the issue. How are you going to know and find the exact person who's going to love what you do and then go and find an army of those people? But age, no. Doesn't come into it in any way whatsoever. And off of the back of that, one last question from Xenia Pepe Music, who says, does age matter when it comes to record labels? Now, slightly different, because now we're talking about the gatekeepers as opposed to the audience. And so then the answer is maybe. Depends on the label, because some labels will say, you don't really represent our style or our art, and maybe that's your age. But on the whole, most labels are businesses. This is a business transaction. They're saying, if I inflate this, will it bring me money in? It's a slightly different thing to the audience. So the label will want to know, does the audience want it? And I go back again to the main thing, which is why are we facing the labels? I had a meeting this week with an artist who has 4 record deals around the world. And it was harsh because I'm like, what are they doing for you, man? What is going on? Why are they doing this? You can do all of this yourself. To which he completely agreed. So this idea of the dream, I need a label, it's just not true. Should you have a label? If the label's going to do something amazing for you, yeah, absolutely. If they're going to do something that you cannot do yourself, absolutely. If they're going to load up trucks and send CDs around the country like they used to do, yes, you can't do that. Are they going to upload some stuff to Spotify? No, you can do that yourself. So this is the bit. Why are you focusing on the labels when you should be focusing on the audience? Now, these questions crop up day in, day out, and this is the type of stuff that I answer in DKMBA. We have a really powerful community of inspiring musicians who are in it. Plus, I'm making courses every single week, more content from myself and other amazing like-minded music industry specialists. On top of that, I do live sessions twice a week. It's a no-brainer. If you are serious about your music career, then check out that link below. Come and join me in DK Music Business Academy. Let me help you and let's get your career started. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. If you can do me a favor, just hit that like button. It makes such a huge difference to the YouTube algorithm, which is getting tougher. So if you could do that, that'd be amazing. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you soon.